My people, let's continue. We recently asked for the community to come forth and submit lore into the comment sections to expand on the remaining races and districts. I wanted to take a moment to go over the lore that was submitted thus far, and I figured we do that before we open up character creation. Figured we highlight a few of these in case anyone was on the fence about what race they wanted to be. All races will be available for reference with a brief description and keywords during character creation. The rest will be available to peruse later when the rest of the website opens up. Let's start with Calidians. Soren submits, desperate times and desperate measures. The Calidians are a race that has been most affected by the recent massive upheavals in Haven. Most have been forced to pick a side in the coming struggles for power in Haven. Some sign on with Gate and the Haven Guard in order to bring their people out of abject poverty. Some bend the knee to Anarchy 12 in order to bring themselves to the top of the food chain. Some apply for apprenticeship in the Gokin in order to make themselves and their people stronger. Most, though, have joined something new called the Hidden Underground. This new faction is a rising guerrilla army using similar battle tactics to the Haven Guard and terror tactics like Anarchy 12. Their only goal is to turn Haven's social structure upside down and put the Calidians on top. They are willing to commit the most heinous acts in order to accomplish this goal. Calidian street doctors. Many Calidians, thanks to their inherent immunity to poisons and diseases, have taken to becoming street doctors, either out of kindness of their hearts or simply for a steady source of income. Either way, Calidian street doctors are some of the most affordable and effective doctors in Haven. This has caused no end of grief for the hospitals in the slums, though as most people have taken to seeing This has caused no end of grief for the hospitals in the slums, though as most people have taken This has caused no end of grief for the hospitals in the slums, though as most people have taken to seeing the Calidian street doctors instead of them. Do the Haberer submits, Calidians are very sensitive when you talk about their lack of nose cartilage. Onirik submits, Calidians are Haven area's first inhabitants and have a strong hunter-gatherer culture. When the first immigrants arrived, they welcomed them, but Calidians didn't give up on their way of life when Haven City got too large to support it. The result is the tight-knit communes the Calidians live in have nearly devolved into gangs. A commune is typically led by a hunter hierarchy and supported by a shaman. Calidians rarely practice true cannibalism. Only when a commune is near starvation will a hierarch ask a member to give themselves in sacrifice. The shaman then will ritualistically kill and divide the body. However, most persons view them killing and eating other G-types as cannibalism too, which happens frequently. As a result, the Calidians were pushed into the slums of Haven City, most notably the Shade District. Shamans use a strange combination of rituals, drugs, medical expertise, and mind magic to enhance hunters or heal commune members. Because of their see-through skin, most Calidians have a pretty astounding knowledge of the body, and shamans carry a valuable amount of medical know-how. A healthy, well-fed Calidian is extremely dangerous, while an underfed Calidian runs about 40 kilometers per hour. Healthy adults can run nearly 65 at full sprint and regain their strength, which is considerably more than the average human. Well, G-type, no humans. Their eyes appear jet black because of their large pupils. but sometimes the iris is visible near the edges. Ew. I can picture that. Red and pink are common. White is uncommon and blue is rare due to lack of pigment. Hair is never darker than blonde. Calidians that leave their communes typically live as loners, outcast by both their people and the majority of Haven City. This doesn't stop most from making a decent living as hitmen, however. Adding to Soren Kosenkin's submission. Nice. The leader of the hidden underground is a Calidian mutant named Brazalik. I like that name, Brazalik. That opened his commune to other races feeling disparaged. The hidden underground has multiple shamans, but stay out of fear of Brazalik rather than respect. His G-type expression grants him increased strength, speed, and durability with every G-type he eats. And the stronger his prey, the more strength he gains. Oh shit. Brazalik. I like, that's tight. That's tight. That's good. That's a good one. All right, moving on to Solians. That guy submits a tradition of Solians that is not universal but more of a 50-50 is how housing works out on marriage. How housing works out on marriage. Oh, how housing works out with like a tradition of Solians that is not universal but more of a 50-50 is how housing works out on marriage. The traditional kind of umbilical. The traditional kind is umbilical, which is to say the newlyweds choose to move into the house of one family or the other as opposed to getting their own house. Solians are usually fairly proud of their culture, which stresses honesty. Those who were born and raised in their native land often don't get personal space. It's not really a thing culturally. Solians are usually fairly proud of it, which stresses honesty. Those who were born and raised in their native land don't get personal space. It's not really a... Those raised in their native homelands also like to learn about other cultures and countries. In fact, almost every restaurant there will greet you according to what they believe to be your language, as well as the way a greeting is done there. They also want you to learn more about their culture as well if you ever go there and learn more about their traditions. As implied earlier, this also means that they tend to be very traditional in the way that they go about things and often want it to stay that way. Psyquadrians. Soren submits, honor above all. Psyquadrians are a race that values honor above everything else in their lives. This need to be honorable often leads them to become a thorn in the side of gangs or other illicit organizations. As such, their neighborhoods tend to be the safest in all of Haven. This honor does make them somewhat predictable, though, as they disdain any tactics or weapons they deem dishonorable. Enar Varger writes, Psyquadrians, not all horse. Not all Psyquadrians are part horse. Cybernetic parts are made to resemble any quadruped you can name, and there are even models made to resemble snakes and spiders. The most popular choice after horses is tigers. Now listen, this is a lore submission that completely changes what, the foundation of the race. But I want to allow this because if you really think about it, the only reason a Psyquadrian is a Psyquadrian is because of the surgery. Eventually someone's going to want to have something else done outside of horses. So we might as well make this race anyone who is transmogrifying their body by way of cybernetic parts. And it has to be a quadruped. Well, maybe that'll be, it has to be some sort of animal. So people who keep their torso and their lower abdomen is being changed into something that is some sort of animal or a cybernetic animal, can be considered a psyquadrian. But I'm pretty sure psyquadrian is a play on equestrian. I don't know, but I like this. I'm totally okay with a particular race being a weird, bizarre race that nobody can agree on. The only thing that we all agree on is that when you get some animal legs, you're a goddamn psyquadrian. But yeah, and Narvarger with the I think that lore submission makes that race a lot cooler. Makes it better, makes it more versatile. And maybe, you know, that could be like their version of a sub race, you know, because they're self-identified. They're a self-identified sub race or a race. You know, because it could be a Religarian getting there was a name for it. I can't remember. I think it was the Gallop formation surgery. Anybody can become a psyquadrian, so that's why it's a unique race. Outsiders. Throughout most of Haven, there's still a cultural stigma against psyquadrians, and they withstand a lot of prejudice. It's also just really difficult to accommodate them, even if you want to. Yeah, I think back. Remember in the live roleplay? What is his name? Was it Jake? Jared? What was Jacob's character that he played? And he was a drug addict psyquadrian. There was a scene where they went into an enchilada restaurant, and we were trying to figure out like how it looks when he sits down. Anyway, it's just really hard to accommodate them, even if you want to. And they have trouble with almost every aspect of public services. Transport, restrooms, doorways, elevators, seating, healthcare, etc. Of course, all this really means is that there's a huge psyquadrian activism movement going on right now, trying to get those accommodations. That's hilarious. Well, no, it's not hilarious, darn it. It's a shame. Okay, we gotta get those accommodations. They are no different than any other weirdo that exists in the world, you know? Metal Brotherhood. Ever since the Robbies helped psyquadrians become recognized as an independent race. Who are the Robbies? Psyquadrians have had an unstated, it sounds familiar. The psyquadrians have had an unstated alliance with the androids. Even before that, though, there was always a sort of philosophical connection between the two races. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Some allies, some racial allies is always good. We always have rivalries, but it's nice to have some allies. Soren writes, psyquadrians, legendary strength. Oh boy. Psyquadrians during their transitional surgery are given special treatments and drugs that permanently enhance their biological halves, physical strength and stamina so that it can keep up with the cyborg half of their new body. Only the psyquadrians know what exactly is in these special drugs and what the treatments entail, but the effects are plain to see for everyone. Psyquadrians are easily capable of lifting objects twice their weight, with the weight of an average psyquadrian being 300 to 500 pounds depending on the modifications they have. Hey, I'm cool with that, but I would expect the player of a psyquadrian to have put somewhere in their submission that, you know, they have these drugs, they have acquired these drugs, and they keep a good stash of these drugs, and they will, yeah. It's not just like a passive strength or anything. Like I would expect the player, you know, in their submission, hey, before I go in there and save the day, I'm gonna take a hit of these chem sticks, take it right to the groin to boost my torso region. Fishmongers. It takes a village. Who submitted this? Anar Varga. It takes a village. In fishmonger society, the raising of children is considered to be the responsibility of the community. Eggs are laid in a community nursery, then organized into family groups called ozas or nests of around 10 and are collectively adopted by a nest that has reached adulthood. Later in life, they're expected to marry within their own nest, but if they don't, the women tend to move in with their husbands. Genetic oddballs. Thanks to the experiments that have been performed on fishmongers, the Mullen Island gene has been discovered to be associated with rapid mutation, reminiscent of the ecosystems in the Beast District, and produces enzymes that can be used as editing assistants for the gene editing, making genetic enhancement significantly easier and more reliable. This has led to numerous experiments trying to isolate the gene and move it to other races. None of these tests are known to have any results with adult subjects, but the people performing these tests don't exactly advertise. Sorry to that guy who are stealing his thunder. I just couldn't resist expanding on his lore. Sea celebrations. Every year in late summer, fishmongers hold a festival called Hasvigor to celebrate fertility and the bounty of the sea. It's customary to give gifts to your romantic interest the night before the festival and sweets to your nest children. The morning of. The main event is a dance marathon. Where romantic partners compete with each other to see who can keep dancing for the longest. Some couples prefer to do this alone, but most gather to compete against other couples, and they always dance near the edge of the water, chanting the customary songs as they do. I really, really like that. I love shit like that. I love it. Because I'm just imagining episodes where that's happening, you know? And they will. They will. Slice of life. Anar Varga, ladies and gentlemen. That guy submits. Some people want to become fishmongers artificially. Thank you for touching on that, because a lot of people forgot that. Some people want to become fishmongers artificially, much like those who alter themselves into centaurs. Some fishmongers have the Mullen Island gene, which makes their faces even more fish-like later in life and also gives them tails. However, they can have tails without the look and vice versa to a lesser extent. What a weird race. I'm sure there's a lot of confusion around this race. Nebby. Soren submits Glimmer of Hope. Call back to the first episode, I think. Even though their people have been crippled and are now more divided than ever before, there is still hope for the Nebby people. A hero, the Nebby people. A hero has begun to gather and unite his people. Remember, so when it comes to the Nebby, there's two Nebby. There are the Nebby that are native to Nibu, who stayed there and were over there. And then there are the Nebby that have migrated to Haven City and become corrupt. And that's why they were left, because Mama Yaga was like, screw them. So just keep that in mind. The people that are not here anymore are all the ones that were native to Nebby. They were all slaughtered and taken up. And then the Nebby that are left are ones that are trashy. Maybe not all of them, but they're over in Haven and they're likely corrupt or hardened. A hero has begun to gather and unite his people behind him, regardless of what factions they are a part of, politically or religiously. He has taken the name of a Nebby hero from the era of myths called Levid, who completed 7 impossible tasks. Levid's goal is to bring prosperity and unity back to the Nebby and to make Haven their new home. He also seeks along the way to unify all the peoples of Haven into a single people and put aside such petty divisions like race and what district they are from. In his own words, we are all the children of Haven and it's time we started acting like it. Hey, I like that guy. He sounds cool. Nebby, shattered faith. Many of the Nebby have lost their faith in Mama Yaga after the disappearance of most of their people. This has led the remnants of the once mighty people to either to abandon religion completely or desperately and zealously cling to new pantheons and gods to fill the void. Ooh, it's getting juicy. This has resulted in the already crippled race to fracture even more, as infighting over what new gods they should worship, if any at all, is turning friend against friend and sibling against sibling. The only reason this has not sparked a religious war yet is the intervention of Haven Guard and what's left of local law enforcement. This being said, several large riots between different religious factions within the Nebi have occurred with many casualties. The most zealous of these factions being the ones who decided to worship the Elder Existence. The Elder Existence being one of the two primary religions in the Dulaman, for the Dulaman people. That's, I guess, what happens when Nebi adopt those Dulaman religions. They get a little wild. District 9. Submitted by Soren. Martial law. The Haven Guard, in their efforts to bring about law and order in Haven, have heavily occupied District 9. During the initial 7 months of the occupation, the Guard waged a highly effective bush war? Maybe it's supposed to say bush war against the gangs. You know, Soren, he or Jacob Ashton, same person. He knows all these war terms. That could say bushware, and maybe it's something I never heard of, but I'm going to think maybe he meant to put bush war against the gangs, using their superior equipment and military-style guerrilla training to their advantage. This has resulted in the total annihilation of most gangs, while others have been crippled and forced underground. After most of the fighting ended, the Haven Guard has also started to clean up the law enforcement in the district. This has proven difficult, though, as the remaining gangs still have more than enough influence to corrupt any new officers the guards put in place. That guy submits. District 9 often sees gangs enforce some of the law instead of the cops due to how corrupt they made them. They have less rules, of course. District 9 was built upon somewhat shaky foundation. Literally, earthquakes, when they do occur, are a huge problem, and buildings can only get so tall. Oh man, why you do that to that district, that guy? You made District 9 earthquake prone. Evolution District. That guy, again, submits. A part of the Evolution District known as the Emerald Hills is known for three things: its nice green grass as a result of heavy rainfall, limes, and the many psychological experiments on the residents. Damn, that escalated fast. Nice grass, green grass. Ooh, we got some limes. Taste those limes. Oh, and also we are going to experiment on you. You're going to experience some missing time. Wake up in your drawers. Welcome to the Evolution District. Given proper consent and payment when the experiment happens, they usually are unaware that they are a part of it until it's over. It may be a simulation of a Groundhog Day situation. They might try to make the workplace seem off, have random people know a ton about you, or far more mundane and minor things. But with your consent and payment. The Evolution District has had a recent stride of success in containing certain criminals via a new district task force, designated as Task Force S. While their files and actions aren't officially known or registered under Task Force, the results of their actions have been noted, as well as the task force itself. It is comprised of a little over 100 well-trained G-types for enforcement that are trained to fight higher level criminal G-types, unusual weaponry, and terrorist groups. Frontier District. That guy submits. Frontier District has many G-types who have a higher percentage of their DNA mutated. However, they tend to be mutated in the same couple of ways. The Frontier District citizens tend to have a very healthy diet due to the amount of fresh food and the lack of fructose-filled goods. There may also be new strange wildlife, however, that is unconfirmed. Okay. Shade District. The Shade District often sees gangs enforce their own kinds of laws as well. The Shade District also has a lot less cars due to their narrow streets and sharp, small turns. What cars are brought there are usually small two-seaters, bikes, and mopeds. Are also made more popular for similar reasons. That is, of course, not saying much, as when they get around, they usually have to walk. The district's set up. At least what little was actually done was all done as an afterthought. There are also seemingly random dead ends and one-way streets, partially because of this and partially due to it being more ideal for robbing people. I feel like I read that before. Divergent District. Much of the Divergent District is built underground due to the preferences of the people living there. The district has also been quarantined on 6 separate occasions for a short amount of time. Solitude District. Soren writes, twisted remnants. Those few who have survived in the Solitude District are not the same as they were before. Their minds have been twisted and their bodies grossly mutated into abominations of disease and fanaticism. Damn, what happened here again? The artists and philosophers have turned their once glorious talents to a horrid purpose, as they have taken to worshipping and glorifying Agoth, the great king of disease and one of the entities that battles against the gods of the elder existence. They seek to spread his gift, the disease, across all the world and bring his word to all those he finds worthy to serve him, all those who somehow manage to survive. This cult of disease is led by the being that was formerly known as Kenna O'Neill, who was once Haven's greatest philosopher. Now, though she is the high priestess and oracle for this twisted faith, she has busied herself over the years mastering the many mystical gifts given to her by her dark god, and has begun to raise an army of hellish disease-ridden beasts and monsters, as well as augment her most devout followers, turning them into unstoppable plague warriors. She seeks to spread the disease lord's words to all lands. The only thing stopping her and her followers is the fact that there is no route to the rest of Haven due to the district being cut off. This won't hold back the cult forever though, and with Haven distracted by internal fighting, it is only a matter of time until this twisted religion, this is more than Solitude District lore. Let's focus. All right, and that's it for what was submitted. We're going to have those in the lore building site, so you'll be able to see it. Stay tuned. It's almost time to create characters. I just got to prepare a few things, get it nice and pretty. Keep your eyes peeled. Hit that like button to stoke the flames of creation. You're going to need it for the creation of your character. You're going to need me. I'm sure you're going to have questions. Feel free to utilize each other, but I will be on watch. And let's have fun. Let's make this fun. Let's get this season started. Subscribe if you like things like this. If you're not hot, hit the like button. Stoke those flames so everybody can get hot, sweaty, and creative. Humid, hot, sweaty, and creative.